Hi everyone, I am Shan.
And I am Tam. This is the Real Talk Podcast.
On this podcast, we have some candid conversations between us about love, family, faith, relationships, parenting, work-life balance, and everything in between. We will tackle these topics from the perspective of how they impact our daily lives.
We invite you to not only listen, but interact with us and our guests as we have some real
talk.
Okay, so Shan and Tam fam, welcome back to Real Talk with Shan and Tam. Today we're going to be talking about, working from home and what that has meant for each of us and how we've been not only managing, to balance work and life while we're doing that, but what type of boundaries we've set up for ourselves. I don't know about you, Shan, but it was a little bit tricky in the very beginning. I think now that we are 2 years into it, I've personally set up some norms for myself around, having that balance between work and home, still being at home. But it was a little bit tricky starting off. And even now I find that there are some things that I still need to tweak and kind of work through. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you've been able to just manage both.
Yeah, and I agree, Tam. I think initially when COVID just hit, because, this was a new thing for everybody, right? Being home for so long and working from home, you found that you're working sometimes from morning till nights, right? And even after hours, you're still responding to emails. You're checking emails before you actually started work, right? So it's like one thing into the next, and then there's no breather. Like when you left work and you drove home and you got that opportunity to relax or to breathe. It's not that anymore because literally work and home is the same thing. Mm-hmm. But for me, what I found for myself now, I am being intentional about taking my break. Mm-hmm. And that means I put away the computer. It's mm-hmm. if I'm entitled to 45 minutes or an hour, and I'm not checking any emails during that time. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm taking my break. And what that means is I'm leaving the house sometimes, going for a walk, or I'm catching up on something that I was watching, or I'm reading something, or just spending time with my husband. Right. And mm-hmm. and making it as normal as possible. Right. Because if you don't do that, or if you don't break up the day like that, you find that you're constantly working. Right. And I'm trying, I'm not there yet. Once I'm done with work, I'm done. Yeah. Right. So if I'm done at 5 or if I'm done at 4:30, I'm done. I'm trying not, if it's not necessary, try not to respond to emails after hours or on the weekends, because then it's an expectation for people as well, too, for them to feel like you're going to respond to things after hours or even when you're off.
You're always available.
You're always available.
Well, I mean, I know it kind of rough sometimes.
It's rough, and that's what I'm saying. I'm trying, right? It's rough because it's not. It sounds good in theory, but practical, it's not always the case. But one step at a time, I think, and I find for myself too. When I'm done with work, if I'm working in the living room and my stuff is there, I clean up the space. Yeah. Right? I clean up the space, I clean up the area, because then I'm transforming back my area into the living room or whatever, the dining area. So I take off all my work stuff. So now I'm in that frame of mind that it's now time for dinner. It's time to do this or it's time to do that. That's just what has been working for me. Yeah. And as I said, to take the little breaks throughout to put some normalcy within your day.
Yeah, luckily for me, I've been able to have a separate space actually, for that was always considered to be an office, right? So I did business type things in that space. When I was at the other house, it was like a much bigger and brighter space, a lot of windows around. And being at this new house, it's a smaller area. And I've seated myself directly in front of a window because I still need to have that feeling of having space.
Yes.
And that gives me, it doesn't feel like I'm just locked into, locked in a room, really. So my distractions can be a bird flying by the window. The other day it was a squirrel. I'm like, how did this squirrel?
And it just get you all caught up in the squirrel.
The squirrel reach up yourself. Right?
I know.
What is he doing? But yeah, I agree. Having that dedicated space has really helped me because I find when I leave that space, work is done.
Yeah.
However, and being in the space, it allows me to totally put my focus on what needs to happen. It almost feels like I'm at work, right? Like
yes.
In my office at work. But what I've also, now the part that's kind of tricky for me, which I said it kind of tough, is that I also have like a business phone, right? And so I've had to turn off my ringer because while technically I could be on call for 24 hours because something could blow up somewhere and I need to be reached, I've had to turn off that ringer only because for the other people who are sending emails at 9, 10, and 11 o'clock sometime at night,
they expect you to respond to them.
My phone a ping.
Exactly.
Like the phone the ping. And when the phone pings at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm there wondering what could be happening, why somebody is sending an email at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. Now me want to look.
And I was just about to say that it forces you because now you wonder what happened, right? Then you feel like you kind of have to check it.
And I have to check it. And then what happens? And so when I check it,
you get drawn into it.
I'm sucked in. I've just been sucked in. Why not respond? And it creates this perpetual cycle now. So,
Exactly.
So I agree that you need to have that, you need to kind of have that dedicated space. And I love your idea of, even if I were to say, move myself to my living room or my dining room or whatever, when I'm done,
clear up the area.
Yeah, clear up the area, take that away, take the computer away, and make it back into what its original purpose was intended for. I leave my office now and I close the door. So even when I got to walk by that room, I'm not tempted to get drawn back in there. So I've done that, and I've had to get better at not responding via my work phone to the things that can come in after hours, because I do believe that we really need to draw a boundary around the time when you're expected to be available to respond.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Real talk.
And I find the part that you said for the phone, I find even with my personal cell now, because there's always something happening. There's always a notification. Somebody's always messaging you. And it's hard sometimes to just settle down at nights, especially because you're now working from home. You're balancing two things. You're making dinner. You're doing whatever for the children. It's like you're doing so much. I find now at night, I'm being intentional. I'm not turning off my phone. I'm turning off the data off the phone. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that nothing is coming in to distract me, so that I can be uninterrupted and just to rest. Because sometimes we find you're just going so much. You're working, your other personal things, doing so much stuff. So you're so charged, right? But when do you really get time to settle your thoughts and to settle your mind before bed? right? And even in the mornings as well, too. Like, and this is something that we did speak about in one of the podcasts as well, too. Yes, we're working from home, right? But you shouldn't be so charged first thing in the morning. You feel like you need to check that email or respond to that. Still incorporate your daily stuff and what that
Mhm.
means for you. If it's your prayer, or your devotion, or your affirmations, or even
Mhm.
your exercise, your stretch, your breathing, just to maintain that safe haven still within your home,
Mhm.
right? Because then you find that you're constantly going. So I think it's important as well for people to still incorporate the things that they would have done if they had to go to the office and to
Mhm.
still do it. And even get up and get dressed, look
Yeah.
proper. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
not all days. Some days you're just off and you're just right, you're tired, right? And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
people call you on Teams, you just answer on without video. But I
Yeah.
find sometimes when you get up and get dressed,
Mhm.
you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, so just to go back to one of the things that you said there about the routines,
Mm-hmm.
I find that that has been really very helpful. So before, I would have had to say get up at like 6:30 in the morning because I'm having to get ready, get the kids ready, and then leave for my commute time. But
Mm-hmm.
now, with the commute time eliminated down to basically a minute, um,
I
I
know you just
can,
a roll out of yes sometime.
but you know what?
Yes.
I still don't though, because
Mm-hmm.
what I did was, and I realized that this was important to do after I encountered not getting up until the last minute when I actually had to be signing in because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get dressed and it wasn't a routine. So, okay, I'm supposed to start 8:30. We can't get up 8:20. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't give a power start to the day. So what
Mm-hmm.
I actually ended up doing was actually putting in that routine so that I got up at like 7 o'clock, and then
Mm-hmm.
that gave me time to get ready and actually put on some clothes too. Like you said, so
Mm-hmm.
leading into
Mm-hmm.
that, getting dressed, it gives you that sense of normalcy as if you're approaching the workspace, right?
Yes.
Um, so actually taking that time to get dressed. Some days we put
Mm-hmm.
on a little makeup when we have to go up on
Exactly.
a
Mm-hmm.
video call, or even just put on a little lip gloss just to make myself feel a little bit more than,
Than
just
than
plain
normal.
Jane.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and then getting the kids ready, getting them off, and actually having a little bit of time for myself to now just center my mind and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's like 15 minutes. All right, let's get going for the day and kind
Mm-hmm.
of get my thoughts together. So I find that that has been very helpful. The routine
Yes.
and your other point there about actually getting dressed, that actually is quite helpful. Some days I put on my clothes, my kids them ask me, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Work."
I'm working.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I have a meeting today, and maybe me not just need to look good up at top. Me want to put on my actual
Exactly.
clothes.
You want to dress up. Exactly.
I
Exactly.
want to put on every piece of my clothes. Okay.
Exactly. Because they're so used to seeing in like house clothes, or you know what I mean? And you look the same way throughout because you're home.
But you better than me, we're turning off the data is concerned. If I would even hazard about turning
Try
off
it.
the data.
Try it for yourself. For yourself. Try
um,
it.
I don't really want to give myself anxiety right now. So the other day my internet wasn't working and it kept going up and down. And you like even before my device cut off, I would know when the internet went down because I heard the internet's down.
Yes, yes, for the kids. Exactly. Because they're so on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm not there yet with the data.
That's
Just
okay. That's okay.
Real talk.
real talk.
But I think the routine is important and setting boundaries. As you say, if you have a dedicated workspace, that's good. But for those people who might not have an office space, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're working in an area, just to make sure that you're decluttering or removing things from work once you're done with work. Right? I know I was speaking to a friend as well, and she mentioned that no working in the bedroom, right?
Yes.
Because the bedroom is your safe space and your safe haven, right?
Yeah.
No working in the bedroom. And I thought that was critical, right? Because you shouldn't have to be bringing work in your bedroom. I don't know what your thoughts are around
I
that.
absolutely agree with that. I absolutely 100% would agree with that. I've never done that. I don't think I should do that because I really want to create that distinction between, what is safe haven for me and don't bring none of the stress, none of the energy, none of that into the bedroom. So I absolutely agree with that. I've sat at my kitchen counter. I've sat outside in my backyard. I've sat in the living room, in my dining room, but I haven't.
You haven't gone in the bedroom.
No, I haven't set up work, none at all in my bedroom.
Yeah, and I think that's important, right? You have to maintain some boundaries.
Yeah, but recognizing too that some people may only have that space.
That space, yes.
As a workable space, right? Like we may be fortunate enough to have the luxury of having different places, but for some people, your bedroom is your living room, is your dining room.
Real talk.
Real talk.
So you just have to make the space conducive, and once you're done, you pick up whatever computer, whatever thing,
exactly,
and then back to it for the next day. You just have to make with what you have.
Yeah,
and do with what you have.
Yeah, I think that's where it's important for that point that you mentioned earlier, that when you're done, recreate your area for what it was intended to be. Right? And remove the elements of work from there. So pack away the computer, whether turn it off or whatever, put away your stuff and make your bedroom again. Your boudoir, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
There was something that I came across that said you could try to even possibly recreate your commute. Because we usually have that commute time, and a lot of people use the commute time on either end of the day, in the morning or in the afternoon, to actually decompress, de-stress, to think a little, right? So you can actually do that. Like I said, in the mornings, I take like about 15 minutes to kind of just center myself. It's usually probably having a little bit of breakfast, just sitting at my kitchen counter and just not really doing much, whether it's just having breakfast or whatever. So that gives me 15 minutes out of what would have otherwise been a half an hour or 45-minute commute. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing if people could actually try to do something to make that transition between work and getting back into the home routines, give you some time at the end of the day as well to kind of make that transition, right? So for me, now the kids, like my youngest, she has her gymnastic program. So at the end of the day, when I'm generally driving her there, that kind of becomes my commute time.
The time that you do to work.
So what do I do during that time? I listen to my audiobooks.
Yeah.
Which I love. And that kind of reminds me, it almost brings me back to that place where, this is a commute, because this is what I used to do coming home.
Yes.
And it brings me down from the day. And so much so that even Paige, she loves getting in the car with me and listening to those books. If we're running errands, if I'm dropping her off. For somebody else, it could be a matter of finishing work, going for a walk.
Yeah. And I like that because at least you're breaking up the day and you're doing the things that you would normally do, right? And to make it some sort of normalcy in your life. Right. And I was just, as we spoke, I was just looking at some stats or some information
Mhm.
about the working from home. And actually, if you Google is actually saying that working from home will improve your work-life balance. They think it will improve it, right? They
Right,
said if you set aside time for things you love, block out your schedule, which we did speak about the priority,
right.
focus on productivity tips, avoid burnout, and spend time with family and pets. And for
Yeah,
those who have pets, right? So I think, you can prioritize your things. Even some of the tips that they have is here to set a schedule and try to stick to it
right,
and make plans for your after work hours to help balance work fatigue, which you
right.
spoke about, which is the driving piece, right? And listening to your audiobooks and doing different things that you would have normally done when you were commuting to work. And one of the things too that they mentioned was to use personal errands or activities to take breaks throughout the day. Right. So whatever
Right.
that means for you, like you have to
Mhm.
run an errand or you go for a walk, the time is getting nicer now. Go for a walk or listen to your audiobooks. Try to make it as normal as possible as
Mhm.
if you had to go to the office. Because I
Right.
don't think we're going to ever go back to whatever quote unquote normal is. I think this is
No.
going to be our reality moving forward.
Yeah, and I know, like even for my workplace, they have it has been a policy a decision made that we will, our mode of operation is going to be part-time in the office, part-time at work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that is what the new normal is going to be, and we need to be able to find that balance, right? Between both, because when you're working from home, you're working from home, right?
Yes.
Um, One of the things that I think is important too is actually taking your time off. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in the probably the first year of the pandemic, I thought, oh, I'm home.
Yes.
We
You
don't
don't
need
need to
to
take
take
time
some
off.
time off because you're thinking about the normal things like, oh, I'm not commuting 2 hours or 2.5 hours now for the day.
Yes.
I'm not running around. I know personally for me, I'm not running around to 5 different places for different meetings and having all those meetings here. So the physical stress was not as much
Yes.
anymore. And I thought to myself, I need to take my
You don't need to take
vacation.
time. Yeah.
Can I tell you that,
Everybody need their time off because you
Mr.
just came back from vacation. I'm sure you feel so much more
Hello,
relaxed. Exactly. No, you
I was
need to take your time off and be
I was so
intentional about
mellow.
it too. Yes.
I was so mellow this week. I tell
Yes.
you,
I'm telling you,
it was
you
the
have to take your time
nicest
off.
version of me. Okay,
If you're gonna go on vacation every week, I'm telling
Mister,
you.
I can get
Yes,
used to that life. Hello.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
But no,
but
you're right, Tam, because I think you and I were even talking about that. Yeah, you don't feel like you have to take your time off because you're home. But no,
mhm,
take your time. You're
yeah,
entitled to the time. Take your time because you don't realize too, even though you're home, the amount of stress that you're under and mental stress as well.
yeah. And I think it's important for you to actually pay attention to that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're feeling like where your stress level is, because I knew that for like personally for me, I was at that point where I was like, you listen, you see, if me not kind of step away from my life right now, somebody's gonna get it and it ain't gonna be nice. Okay.
So you needed a minute. You needed
I
a minute.
needed more than a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, you needed a minute. I'm telling you.
Real talk.
Real talk. So, and I realized that the fact of the matter is that even though you're home, you need to step away from home too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
if that means like last summer, for instance, my family, we did day trips.
Yes.
So we took my vacation.
Mm-hmm.
We went out and did something together as a family for the day. right?
Yes.
We couldn't travel or anything like that.
So you
But
went on day trips and did
yeah,
things. Yeah.
but that was important. And I realized that it was important for me to actually take my vacation time to
Mm-hmm.
do those things, because it really just put you in a different frame of mind to say, you know what, this is not regular work day. This is not me having to worry about,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
I think that's a very important point, Tom.
yeah.
Take your time. If you have the time, you're entitled to the time.
Mhm.
Take the time.
Yeah, you need to step away from it all, including working from home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
And to be out of that space. And the one other thing that I thought we should mention is, and I don't know how you feel about this, sometimes the distractions, the fact that you're home and everybody else may be home too, that,
Yes,
yeah,
it's hard.
yeah, we need to kind of, like, I know what I've taken to doing is me put up a notice for my door. Say, I put my schedule on my door.
You're killing me.
No, I have. Because
So them not come interrupt you.
No.
Yeah.
So 10 to 11 in our meeting, 12 to whatever is a conference call.
Yes.
Me put my schedule on the door.
And then you put your free time.
I'm gonna put my free time. Don't talk to me. Okay? Don't come knocking on the door or open the door in the middle of my video call.
Yes. But for the most part, you alone the home.
No, not all the time, because intermittently things happen, and
and other people are home.
Yeah, other people are home, right? But I think it's important for even when they're home, because when the kids have PA days and
oh
stuff,
my gosh, and snow day, them not go school,
exactly. Like, I've had to kind of set boundaries around even the interaction, with the distractions that come with them, because the fact of the matter is that, guys, I'm supposed to be giving work here my 7 hours, and if I wasn't home, you wouldn't have access to me that way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If I
that's
wasn't
important.
Here,
so you have to set up boundaries with them too.
Yeah, like, you can't be just thinking that it's just because I'm here, you can't ask me if we can go make some chicken nuggets. No,
go make the nuggets yourself.
Go make the nuggets yourself.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So actually kind of having those kind of boundaries and discussions with even the people who may be around you while you're working from home, I think it's important. I need to dedicate my time here, and you also need to be respectful of that and deal with it.
I agree.
Well. Yeah,
I agree because it's important. It's important. Yeah, but I and again, Tam, these things will evolve over time, and it won't be the same for everybody. I mean, context, people's situation may not always be the same. Exactly. But I think one of the main things that I am taking from our talk today is being able to set certain things, to incorporate certain things that you would have done prior to working from home, and be dedicated to that. And also to do things personally for your own self, right? To maintain that space, that safe haven within your home, right? As I said, when I was speaking to Pet, she was saying, she thought about not working in the bedroom, and I thought that was so important, right? So if you have that, in terms of you have that space to set clear boundaries of where you work, where you're not to work, and if you cannot, to just redefine the space once you're done.
Right. Yeah. And the thing that I took away from our discussion, which is something that I probably need to work harder at too, is that we really need to give ourselves the space, like turning off the clock, right? So when you turn off work, you turn off work. So I'm not checking that email again until tomorrow morning when it's time to log on, and you're not getting sucked into this thought that because you're available, because you're home, you should always be available, right? We need to set those boundaries, and we need to stick to the boundaries.
Yeah.
As much as possible in terms of, you know, what we've had to put in place for ourselves, because really your home is supposed to be a safe space for you. It's supposed to be. And we shouldn't we should endeavor to find spaces within that to minimize the stress. It's enough. Life is stressful enough. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much that's going on, right? That we need to find the balance. And what you said too about taking your time. When you have the time, take the time. Yeah, right. Take exactly. And something else before we wrap up that I don't know if someone was talking to me or I read it when they're saying, again, back to the whole phone thing. We're so in this age where we are text, we are WhatsApp. People are not picking up the phone to call people anymore, right? Or just to have a discussion. And you would never think how much of a difference just having that one-to-one dialogue with someone, how important it is for your mental health. Right? Because we're so used now in this age of texting because we're so on the go. Yeah. Right? Nobody is taking the time. I mean, we're not able to see each other as often now, right? But just the simple to take up the phone call and to check in with people. Yeah. And it goes to what we just said just now about spending time with loved ones. That might be a phone call or, you know, going out for a lunch, you know, places are open now. Going out for lunch with a friend or meeting up with a friend just for coffee or for tea to make your day or your time at working at home not to seem as if it's just a robust thing and just to break it up and do different things.
Yeah, I love that. Love that.
So so that's it.
Yeah, we hope that our conversation today has help somebody to identify maybe a change that they need to make in their own sort of routines and their experience of working from home. And hopefully it will be something that you can implement and that will kind of help to move you forward, right? As we all work through these kind of challenging and ever-evolving times.
Yes.
So we thank you, fam, for listening. Remember to drop us a comment. Let us know, reach out to us, let us know topics you might want to hear. If you have any ideas about guests that we might want to have on, drop us a line, send us a text, or better yet, give us a call.
Give us a call, exactly.
Give us a call.
Yes.
But tune in again next time for Real Talk with Shan and Tam. Take care, everyone.
Bye, fam.
Don't forget to visit Shan and Tam on all their social media websites. At Sisters Shan and Tam on Instagram, Shan Tam Lodge-Lee on Facebook, and check out their blogs at shanandtam.blogspot.com. Tune in again next time on Real Talk.